Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Hurry Up. I'm your host, Adam. Let's get into this. So, the Giants are 3-1, baby! And yes, I am excited for the 3-1 record. They beat the Chicago Bears, which we expected them to beat. That team, while they are 2-1, and you got to respect their record, they have some troubles over there. They're kind of like similar to the Giants, except their defense is not as good, right? They had a quarterback that's not throwing for more than, 150 yards a game up until this point. They are a very run-heavy team. Like the Giants, sound familiar? They rely on their defense, which gets better in the second half if they can make adjustments. Sounds like the New York Football Giants to me. So it was a real old-school game. It felt old-school, had the old-school unis, the old-school end zones. Kind of like those end zones a lot better than the end zones they got. But, let's get into the game real quick. Offensively, not much really to say outside of they were predominantly run-heavy. Obviously, Daniel Jones had like 72 yards passing, which isn't great, obviously, but that wasn't the game plan this week. The game plan was to run the football and give a heavy dose of Barkley and a heavy dose of Daniel Jones, who obviously the Bears did not account for or did not study the tape very well because obviously Daniel had 2 touchdowns running. And I think that's what Daniel's best ability is. I don't think I want him to run as much because I don't think he's the greatest runner, but out of the 2 things he does well, he runs the football better than he passes. And it showed on Sunday where obviously, guys are open, but he's not hitting them or they're not going deep. They don't want to risk turnovers. They don't want to risk mistakes. So they're minimizing it by scheming it up and doing rollouts. So it was a good effort by the Giants offensively. Defensively, they did what they had to do. They stopped, even though they gave up a lot of yards in terms of between the 20s. Inside the 20s, they bogged down, and the Bears settled for field goals. Biggest play of the game, I think, was the Ezekiel Ojulari strip sack. I think that changed the momentum of the game. I mean, the game was kind of still in peril at that time. I think the Giants were still up 14-6. Or 14-9, something like that, and that kind of changes it. They get that field goal right there. They eventually have to lead 15-14, and maybe the game's a little different going forward, but I think that was the turning point in the game for the Giants and for the Bears. But you did what we had to do. The Giants are better than I expected them to be at this point in the season. I expected them to win 2 games, Panthers, Bears, and they won one more in terms of the Tennessee Titans. But we'll see what happens. I mean, this stretch of games coming up right now, the next 4 to 5 games are against teams over 500 or better. Packers, Ravens, Jaguars, Seattle, right? You don't meet a booty team till Detroit and Houston. So those teams are going to look at you again and say, hey, listen, what can we do to beat them, right? And I know people don't want to talk about Seattle, but they had a good game. They had a good run game. Geno Smith is doing just enough for them to win. For them to win. Actually, he did a lot. He threw for over 300 yards. Wish our quarterback could get 300 yards. But, things happen like that. Unfortunately for the Giants, their quarterback's a little banged up, which is the norm of Daniel Jones. This is what we talked about with Daniel Jones. Let me get into him quickly. Look, he's playing admirably. You're like respectable. You're like, all right, he's taking to the coaching. He's not making any mistakes. Whatever, right? It's fine. He's not going to overwhelm you going forward. He's not going to do anything out of the ordinary, out of the realm of the playbook. So you're going to get what you get with this guy. I know people are going to say, well, he's going to do this. If Slayton doesn't drop the ball, his numbers are a little better. Yeah, well, but Slayton dropped the ball, so the numbers aren't there. And that's on Slayton. We'll get to him in a minute. But Daniel is Daniel. And my feelings about it. I think the Giants know their feelings about it. We'll see as the season goes on. Right now, if he doesn't start the game on Sunday, you got to put that in the negative column. Because that is one of the things we talked about going forward is him getting injured every season he's played. And that doesn't get better with age, right? Everybody that is injured is injured. Kenny Golladay, injury-prone player, guess what? Injured. Shepard, guess what? Injured. Tony, guess what? Injured. Jones, injured. So a lot of these guys are just following their narrative. Now, again, it'll be a tall order to beat the Green Bay Packers with Davis Webb. or even Tyrod Taylor. But the defense might keep us in it. So maybe Davis Webb's the guy. Maybe that's what we need. Who knows? We'll find out more as the week goes on. But it's as much as well as Daniel has played, or as admirable as he's played, this is another black cloud over his head because, again, we're talking about our quarterback getting banged up on running plays, which is the reason why we said not to run him. He's just not built to be a Josh Allen and not built to do that. And the more times you put him out in harm's way, things like this happen. And people are going to take shots. They're going to take their shots because, hey, you're either going to run them over. Like, look what Tyrod Taylor did. That guy was ridiculous. Should have slid, but whatever. He decided to be a hero. But I'm not going to complain too much because I'll let the coaches do it, and eventually we'll see how good this team is in this next stretch of games, because this is going to be the test whether this team is going to the playoffs, fighting for a wild card spot, or going to be in the middle of the road of the draft. They have to win at least 2 of these out of these next 4. They have to be no less than 2 and 3 out of the next 5. Okay, so that would be a 5-4 record after 9, and then the real fireworks begin after that. So, if they can get out of that streak, the worst is obviously 0-4. If they're 0-4, or 0-5, because they lose whatever reason, good night the lights. Good night the lights. At that point you'll have 5 losses, 6 losses, and it'll be a tough road to hoe. But if anything, a 4-4, 5-4 record after 8 or 9 games, that's gonna keep you in the hunt all the way well until December. So let's go Giants 3-1. Defensively, like I said, Tate Crowder, I think he played better when Jalen Smith was fully there, a guy who kind of understood the defense, kind of didn't have to worry about compensating for it, because sometimes when you have rookies, you compensate for them, right? You know they stink, or they have a lack of experience, so they might not know things. So, they were getting gashed in the run game a bit because Micah Parsons make the read. They put in Jalen Smith, and boom, away you go. There goes Tate Crowder. On those plays, it looked like the whole game has changed. Now, I guarantee you next week against the Packers, you're definitely going to see Jalen Smith a lot more. I think he's earned that right. And let's hope maybe he earns a contract. So next year you have a player in place while you groom either Darian Beavers or somebody else. But hats off to Tate Crowder. Hats off to Jalen Smith. Dexter Lawrence playing a great season. Needs to get a little bit more respect. He had a great game on Sunday. Again, this is a team that was a 50-50 game. Expect these type of games against these 50-50 teams. Where a turnover here, turnover there could change the tide on any of these games. And then, expect a game against better teams, what you saw against the Cowboys. A team that struggles to score. I mean, we're at the 30th ranked passing attack in the league. And we were the 30th. Probably after this game, we're the 31st. But teams are gonna eventually figure you out. 4 weeks, they got tape on you. They know what you do. You run the football, and you run the football. So we got to stop. They're gonna try to stop 26, and once they stop 26, they're gonna put a spy on number 8. And while he's banged up, you take one of his best elements away from him. Actually, his probably best element is that scrambling ability that he can do. He's not Lamar. You're not going to mistake him from Lamar Jackson or even John Elway or even Steve Young, but it's part of his game that can help move the drive along, move the chains. I will say his ball fakes have been pretty good. But anyways, that is a good start. Look forward to these next few games. This is where, this is a litmus test for this team. They will really be tested against all these teams. Aaron Rodgers we're going to see Aaron Rodgers. He's always tough. I know they hung around. They let New England hang around, but hey, listen, that's New England. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. The Ravens are playing. I know they have a lot of turmoil, but they're still in it. All these teams that are 500. Or better, they're all separated by one game, right? If the Packers beat us, now we're 3-2, right? And let's say the Ravens win, now you're tied record, or you know what I mean. So you're clumped in with some teams. Now you want to make a statement, beat the Packers. Don't hang with the Packers. Beat the Packers. And I'm telling you, they're gonna want to beat us. They're gonna want to get on a hot streak. This is what the Packers do. And any game like this is a stepping stone to where they want to go. That's the Super Bowl. And right now they're playing arguably one of the best in the NFC right? Probably the second best team. I wouldn't put it past them right now if you were to tell me that the Eagles and the Packers are the two best teams in the NFC. Hands down. So it's going to be a big test. Let's see how we come out. I mean, we've got a lot of injuries. So, you know, if we don't have Daniel, and I hate to say this, if we don't have Daniel, we're probably not going to win the game or have a chance to win the game. And I don't want people to compare Daniel to Davis Webb. So if we have Davis Webb come out there on, I don't know, Sunday morning, and he throws 4 interceptions and 2 a return, I don't want to hear on people's podcasts, well, see, that you always want to get rid of Daniel Jones, you got Davis Webb here. That's not how you measure the quarterback. The starter gets measured against the other 32 starters in the league, not some backup quarterback, which, by the way, he's getting outplayed by one in Dallas, if you really want to measure something. I'm just saying, because that's how Giant fans are going to be. They're going to be like, oh, see, I told you, Daniel, you got to keep him because, you know, Davis Webb, who is a practice squad player and nobody wants, stinks. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. And that's what happens. So take it. We got a lot of injuries, a lot of guys banged up. You know, who knows if many of them will make this trip. I think a lot of them are going to stay home. So you're probably going to play with an undermanned team across the board. And then when you come back against the Ravens, see if you can get some guys back, you know. Hopefully Robinson and Tony are here to give a little speed because this receiving core is putrid. Kenny Golladay, you stink. Kenny Golladay, get off the team, Golladay. Get off the team. Darius Slayton, what did you expect? What did you expect? The guy who has the second most, you know, experience on the team in the receiving game, 1, doesn't play for 4 games up until now, right? And 2, drops a bomb in his hands. I'm sorry, the ball hit you in the spot called the hands. And you made 1 catch, great. And then the other one, it was a borderline effort play, you know. They're saying, a lot of people are saying it's on him. A lot of people are saying it's on the quarterback. I think it's kind of down the middle. I think it's on both. I think you could have gotten a better throw by Tyrod. I think you could have gotten a better play by Darius Slayton. What do I know, right? I'm just some guy who does the hurry up. But hey, a short one today, Victory Monday. We'll try to be back on Friday to give you a little bit more in-depth preview on the Packers and Giants. But hey, man, this has been a great start to the first quarter of the season. This makes the Giants finally have a season for the first time in about 5 years, a season into October. Right? We're not over. We're not thinking too much about the draft pick. There's going to be a lot of change with this team. And a lot of the things won't be the same. And we'll get into that as we get closer, what you want to do to like guys like Saquon and Daniel and the different finances that they bring going forward. But again, this has been an edition of the Hurry Up. You can catch me on Wednesdays at 5:30 to wrap the season on The Real Deal NFC's Roundup. With Mac the Giant Fan, he and I go over all the NFC's games, give you all the nuggets, everything you need to know from last week going into this week. Get ready, it's fire. So if you like what you heard, hit the bell, subscribe so you know anytime we go live or make a video. Thank you so much. I'm out.